Hey guys, what's up? Yeah, I know it's late and all that. It's about a little after 3, 5 minutes after 3 in the morning, but I don't have to work because I asked for yesterday being Monday, and today, which is going to be Tuesday, or is Tuesday, off due to the fact that it's Easter, um, and also kind of give myself a bit of a mental break after what's been going on. Uh, but anyway, but anyway, that's not what I'm here to do this live stream about. What I'm here to do this live stream about is to talk about what is WWE's next move. In other words, what's WWE's next move going to be after um, the country reopens in May? In other words, when everybody is given the clear. Now I know everybody has the differences about the country reopening next month, possibly. A lot of people are saying that there are certain governments, state governments, and all that are not going to reopen right away. Our governor here in California is going to make an announcement later today, possibly with the announcement of when we're going to reopen, which I think is going to be really soon because it's going to be in conjunction with some other Western states and Eastern states as well, which I'm assuming is going to probably be around the end of April into May. We're going to find out the Pacific time, Pacific timeline at that moment. Uh, but anyway, but anyway, long story short, or the again, the topic of this video is what is WWE's next move going to be once they get the confirmation that they've been wanting, that companies like AEW and Impact and MLW and all of them have been wanting, and that is, when are we going to be able to get people back together? Um, when is the country going to get that chance to slowly reopen and things slowly get back to normal? Because I know, honestly, there's a lot of sports entities right now that are looking at May or June as a possible startup or restarting time to resume where they left off or start right off the bat. I know that MLB, Major League Baseball, has been in discussions of going the spring training route for the regular season because of what's going on. I know the NBA has been talking about kind of just going right into the playoffs, but doing it in a unique way that's a little bit different than usual. I'm sure the same will apply with the NHL. So a lot of things going on. I mean, the XFL is for the second time history. It's just, I mean, Alpha Entertainment just filed for bankruptcy. So sometimes that's a good thing, sometimes that's not. But anyway, though, the topic, like I said, of this video is what is WWE's next move going to be once they get the word officially. I mean, surprisingly, the mayor of Orange County and the governor, I guess, of Florida made the announcement that WWE, along with other sports, according to what I understand, are essential media. So yeah, it's not just WWE, but things like football, baseball, basketball, UFC, they're essential. So they're essential media to have around, I guess. So that's something. But anyway, we know the WWE as of tonight or last night, I should say, and this upcoming Wednesday and Friday are going to be live uh, with um, with a broadcast of NXT and SmackDown, just like they will with Raw. But like I said, the topic of this video, and I'm trying to get to that because I know some of you that are watching it now, if you are, or watching it later on, are probably saying, "Hey," are probably yelling at the screen, going, "Get to the point," right? Well, the point it basically I want to get at is, again, what is the next move going to be? As far as, like, booking venues, arenas, booking those shows in these areas. I mean, I know some people are thinking, well, they could do the Performance Center in Full Sail and they can get crowds there. Not big ones, but, decent size. And that's true, they can do that. They can do that, and that may be what they have to do over the next few months. Um, but when I look at WWE and what they could possibly do well, what the next move should be is there's going to be a lot of fans that even if they go to the performance center or they go to Full Sail, they're not going to be too thrilled about that. I mean, there are going to be fans that will accept, hey, being up close and personal when it comes to Monday Night Raw and SmackDown, that's fine. But sooner or later, they're going to be like, okay, change of pace, because already you got fans kind of like, even though there are fans that appreciate what WWE is doing, that there are some fans that are like, okay, WWE, you've been at the Performance Center enough. Can you move on? Can you move to a different area or something? I mean, there are some that would want them to move into Full Sail or probably move to the top of Stamford, Connecticut's towers like they did for the Raw opening one time long ago. Um, but the thing is, what I'm getting at is, WWE's next move. What's it going to be? And booking wise, I think they do have to. I'll put it this way. I know I'm not. I'm not. I know I'm not making any sense. Like I said, it's late. It's about 3:11 right now, so I do apologize. But anyway, like I said, what I'm getting at here is this. WWE, I think their next move is they have to stay at the Performance Center at least for maybe another few weeks. And then the best thing I see WWE doing, as far as being, because again, like I said, like I'm trying to say, there are going to be fans that even if they allow fans back into the building to attend these shows, these are going to be some of the same kind of fans that are like, okay, we've seen enough of the Performance Center Raws and Performance Center SmackDowns and all that. Can we move to a different location? So I think what WWE is going to have to do, in my opinion, is they're going to have to start small again. They can't just go to a massive arena like they're scheduling to later on this year with SummerSlam and all that right off the bat. They're going to have to start small. That even though people could say, oh, well, they can get a big sold out audience in no time flat. Look, that's true and everything, but if you're trying to slowly get back into the rhythm of normalcy, yet there's still people that are kind of fearful a little bit, then you want to start small. So my suggestion, my thought process on the next move for WWE is this. Continue doing the Performance Center, do Full Sail, that's fine. But then as time goes on, let's say you get into June, you get into later part of May, you get into June, start booking venues, armories maybe, like you used to back in the late to mid '90s. Because that's what they did when Monday Night Raw and even with the tapings of Superstars and Wrestling Challenge and all that took place, they always happened in smaller areas, smaller venues. And to me, that's probably the best solution for them to go with. Go into the smaller venues, into areas are going to be more of a clear zone than certain areas right now. You know, like I said, back in the early to mid to sometimes late '90s, WWE would broadcast Monday Night Raw live or even taped from smaller venues to the point that you saw the freak, because the one thing that somebody, I think it was a Schleg Daddy or somebody, pointed out that they saw during WrestleMania was the one thing that they noticed that was running, that was on constantly, was the ceiling fan at the Performance Center. And to me, there were times when WWE would broadcast Monday Night Raw from these smaller venues, you would see things like that. You would see the small ceiling fans circulating, or you would see like little pipings and all that. Like an ECW, like the 2300 Arena in Philadelphia used to be, and still somewhat is. It used to be like that. You used to see those kind of things. And those are the kind of venues WWE would book for Raw and Wrestling Challenge and Superstars and the like. So my thought process is this. My thought process is this. Like I said, and I'm sorry if I'm repeating myself, but my thought process is this. Continue doing the Performance Center for at least a few more weeks. And like I said, as you get into late May, into June, maybe July, start booking the smaller venues, just like you used to back in the early to mid to sometimes late '90s. That way, you're slowly building up that audience again. You're hyping up where your next pay-per-view is going to be. And during that time, by showing this smaller crowd getting together in these smaller venues, you're sending a message of, hey, it's okay now to get back together if these people are doing it, especially in a smaller confined area. Imagine how better it would be in a massive arena. So I think that's what the next move should be. The next move should be, in my opinion, folks, the next move should be sticking with the performance center, and if they have to, Full Sail, and then moving on to other venues, but smaller ones like they used to back in the early to mid '90s. And I think, and you know what? I don't think Vince McMahon would have a problem with that. One, it would be cheaper for him to book, and two, at least you get an audience. He get a loud, rambunctious audience that would let the heels hear it, or they would let the baby faces know how to. He would have that audience that used to help make Raw unique in its own way. So I think that should be the next move on on the block, if you will. It should be the next move once they get the overall clears or the overall clearance to when the country reopens. Um, right now, possibly between the beginning and mid portion of May, that should be one of the first things that WWE and Vince McMahon and Kevin Dunn and all of them, Bruce Pitch and all of them think about. Book the smaller venues so that you bring in a smaller crowd, but you kind of send the message of, hey, this is a smaller venue, but people are coming together. They're coming together. Everything's okay. Da da da. And then at the same time, you hype up when your next pay per view is going to be at that bigger arena. And those that are at home watching these Raws and these SmackDowns from these smaller venues, hearing that, oh, SummerSlam is going to be here or Extreme Rules is going to be here, are gonna want to go and try to attend that live at that arena at that venue if it's in their hometown or in the vicinity. So I think that's what WWE needs to do. I think once the clear is given between possibly the beginning of May to mid May, maybe even late May at the latest, that they should start booking after a few more shows at the Performance Center and even Full Sail, book shows in the small armory areas, the small venues like they used to in the early to mid '90s and even somewhat the late '90s, because that way, you start small and you build your way back up. You build yourself back up, to that massive audience that you used to have. So that let's say you do SummerSlam and you get a sold out crowd there, that crowd's going to see the ones that can't be at SummerSlam, but are going to be at the Raw after SummerSlam in the same area. They're going to be like, hey, a lot of people came there. I'm going to go out and I'm going to be part of Raw afterwards. There you go. Instant gratification, instant success and gratification. Because here's the thing, when you're rebuilding, you're rebooting, that, you want to start small. When you're rebuilding something, you want to start small. And right now, they're kind of doing a little, right now, whether we like it or not, these empty arena shows are that tiny bit of foundation of rebuilding of foundation to help that rebuild occur. So that when they, like I said, they get that clear, that clear will be crowds being allowed back in, and there you go. And I'm sorry for that little vibration you may have heard. I got a notification on my phone. But like I said, once they get that clear and they allow people in to watch the shows at the Performance Center and then later on these smaller venues, that's gonna be that crowd, those people showing up, even as small as they are, that's gonna be the foundation laid down that's gonna allow them to continue to slowly build back up. And well, basically the rest will be history. And not only that, but one thing that a lot of people, like even Brian Zane, I was watching his Raw review tonight. The one thing that Brian Zane pointed out that he says is a positive about these unique mixed reaction or mixed reactional Raws and SmackDowns from the Performance Center without the crowd. The one thing he said that's been on point lately is the promo work by a lot of the men and women. Like the promo work has been better than ever. And if you go and you allow, and if you're WWE and you're Vince McMahon and all of them, and you will allow yourself to book the smaller venues and all that to slowly build back up to a bigger audience in arena and stadium, if you do that, then the smaller atmosphere, like the armories or venues or whatever, that's going to present opportunity for you to continue that promo momentum that, as Brian Zane put it, of wrestling with regret, that the superstars currently have right now, like a Becky Lynch, like a Drew McIntyre, Seth Rollins, a Bray Wyatt, a Braun Strowman, because he's even getting better at times. You have to admit that. You know, a Daniel Bryan, all these superstars. It'll allow that promo work that's on fire right now to continue its momentum in front of a smaller audience, in front of these smaller venues, because it'll feel more organic, more natural. And again, like I said, you're not rushing yourself back into a big arena, into a massive audience. Because who's to say that you're not going to experience what SmackDown experienced long ago, what AEW has experienced at sometimes as well, and that's one side not having many people. You could book the freaking, what is it, T-Mobile Arena in Las Vegas for Monday Night Raw, and with things going on, you're not going to get a sellout crowd. You're going to get minimum. So the best thing to do is to start small, and being in that small organic area allows your men and women like a Becky Lynch and a Drew McIntyre to continue that momentum they have from a promo perspective that's been on fire as of late. It allows a Seth Rollins, it allows a Kevin Owens, it allows these people to continue that fire that fiery momentum they have when it comes to the promos, because it'll feel more organic and more natural and more real, especially in front of an audience that is close to the action. Now, I know some of you are thinking Vince McMahon would not do that. Believe me, if Vince McMahon wants to save money, or if Vince McMahon wants to save money, if you will, and make it at the same time, he's not going to pass up doing smaller venues. Because he knows it's better than nothing. And because he knows right now, massive arenas are out of the question. Smaller venues are probably the best option. So the solution, the next step, in my opinion, when it comes to WWE, after they get the okay along with everybody else, is stay in the Performance Center for a few more weeks, maybe going into mid-June or whatever, and then book smaller venues. Book smaller venues, armories, gymnasiums, whatever you have to do, just like you did in the mid to late, just like you did in the early to mid to somewhat late 90s. Excuse me there. Do do what you used to do. Book a hall, like I said, book an expo on a fairground if you have to. You know, book an armory, whatever you have to do. Just like they did in the early to late 90s, or early portion of the late 90s, early 90s to early portion of the late 90s, and even the mid 90s. Book places like that, because I guarantee you it's better than nothing. It's better than nothing. And everybody watching this knows that's true. I mean, think about it this way, folks. When independent wrestling gets the okay to get back on its feet and get going again, do you think they're going to book the regular venues? No, they're going to take it slow. They're going to book small venues, smaller than what they usually have. They're not going to book dining rooms or ballrooms anymore for a while. They're going to book smaller places. And you might say, well, what's smaller than a ballroom or something like that? I don't know. But I guarantee you, they're going to book a place that's not going to have that many to where they can sell just a certain limited amount of seats and go from there. And just like WWE should do, or hopefully will do, is they will take the time to build back up. And that's what I'm saying. I think WWE needs to take these steps. One, booking smaller venues after being in the Performance Center for a few more weeks will be the best option, because it may bring in a smaller crowd, but it's at least it's showing but at least you're booking something outside of the Performance Center, and you're going to have an audience. You'll have an audience in the Performance Center, no doubt, eventually. But the thing is, when you book outside of it, in these armories and venues and all that, you're going to have a little bit of a bigger crowd, but it'll still be small, but it'll be just enough to where when people are watching it on television, it's gonna send the message of yes, you can go out now. You can attend these kind of things. So that when WWE or AEW comes to their town, they're gonna be able to say, I was there. Because they'll see that that everybody is free to do what they have to now. They won't be afraid anymore. And that's the truth. That is the absolute damn truth. And again, like I said, when it comes to the promos and all that, when it comes to the promos that, like I said, people like Brian Zane have criticized positively as being, the one thing that's good about these empty arena shows, you can continue that momentum that those promos, that you can continue that momentum of those promos from the likes of a Becky Lynch and a Seth Rollins and a Braun and a Bray and a Daniel Bryan and all of them. You can a Bailey, a Sasha, whatever. You can continue that momentum for you can allow those superstars to continue that momentum, I should say, of having those kind of promos in front of a smaller crowd because it's going to make it feel more natural, organic, and somewhat real. So I think that should be the WWE's next move. And when you do that, speaking of the promos, it allows the superstars that cut those promos to continue and make whatever storyline they're involved in seem more legit and more real. So let's say Becky's cutting a promo on Shayna Baszler, which eventually is going to happen, and she does that in front of not just a crowd at the performance center, but in front of a little bit of a bigger crowd, let's say in an armory or something. It's gonna feel more natural, real, and believable to the crowd because they're gonna feel the passion coming from Becky. They're gonna feel like they're right standing right there with her. They're gonna feel that. They're gonna feel the love and passion for Becky, and they're gonna feel the hatred and disdain she has for Shayna, and they're gonna feel that and throw it back at Shayna, that disdain and everything. To me, it's gonna help that. I mean, think about it. Seth Rollins is going into a feud with Drew McIntyre, right? In front of a smaller audience. Imagine, imagine what that feud is going. The promos are going to be like in front of a smaller crowd, smaller venue, especially coming from Drew and towards Seth. It's gonna be, it's gonna be unlike anything people have seen before. Well, they have seen before, I should say, but it's gonna feel more justified, more real, more legit. I mean, Drew being the way he is now, basically being himself, thanking the fans, doing work shoot believable promos, if you will. You combine that along with a smaller crowd at the performance center and then a smaller crowd in the armory like setting or whatever, and you have him doing promos against Seth and then Seth coming back with his own. People are going, the people that are behind Drew are going to believe every word he says, and that the disdain he has for Seth, they're going to aim it towards Seth as well. They're going to take that same disdain and throw it back at Seth in a bigger way. The thing is, guys, WWE has an opportunity overall. Overall, they have an opportunity in with the next move after they get the clear, after they, along with everybody else, gets the clear to allow audiences in and be able to move out of the performance center now. They're going to be able, they will be able, ladies and gentlemen, they will be able to have the opportunity to continue the moment, to do something that's going to get the fans on their side. I mean, you have a lot of fans that are negative about them. They do what I've suggested for the next move: book smaller venues. Continue book the smaller venues and all that bring in an audience, a small one and everything. They allow the superstars to continue the promo momentum that they have in front of that kind of an audience as well, especially when it comes to a storyline. And the WWE has a chance to not only get the fans back on the side, but they get a chance to really rebuild back into the WWE fans believe they can be. They have an opportunity in front of them, and to me, their next move, without a shadow of a doubt, ladies and gentlemen, should be the move after they along with everybody else is given the okay, the clear for everything to start slowly getting back to normal. It's got to be like this. One, continue doing the performance center even with an audience, and then as you get into the later months like June, July, book, start booking outside of the performance center, but smaller venues, just like you did in the early to mid to somewhat late 90s. Three, you allow the promo momentum that certain superstars have right now to continue on in those smaller venues in front of that smaller crowd. And four, if they're involved in a feud or a storyline, you allow them to continue that storyline promo momentum between them and the person they're feuding with and go from there and watch what happens, because basically you allow that to happen. Not only do you win back your fan base by showing in front of the world that even in a small venue, people are coming together to see this, but you're allowing the superstars' promos that are on fire right now, going to the likes of a Brian Zane, to continue to build and be more organic and natural and believable in front of an audience. Now in front of an audience, a small audience, but an audience. Period. And then when you're putting them in a feud, you have those promos that they're doing right now. You continue that promo momentum, I should say, that they have right now, but with the promos directed at whoever they're feuding with in front of that audience, it's going to be great. It's going to feel so good. Because let's say, like what Becky did today or tonight, that's a promo that if you put that in front of a smaller audience, people will be able to feel that promo. They'll be able to believe that promo. They'll be able to get behind Becky with that promo. And then if you have her put that promo, and then if you have Becky in a feud with, let's say, Shayna Baszler again, and you have her direct her hatred towards Shane, her disdain or dislike for Shayna, you know, or what I'm trying to say is if you have Becky use a promo against Shayna like she did before, and but do it in front of an audience this time, a smaller audience, people are going to get behind Becky. They're going to take this. They're going to get behind her. They're going to support her. They're going to believe every word that comes out of her mouth, and whatever disdain she has for Shayna or whoever's going to be her next opponent after Money in the Bank is, they're going to be able to get rallied behind Becky and show that same disdain for the person she's feuding with. It it just makes sense. I mean, WWE overall has a unique opportunity on their hands after everybody is given a clear and the country possibly reopens between the beginning and mid, if not the late portion of May. They have an opportunity in front of them and they know it. And to me, this should be their next move. The next move should be once they get the clear that the country is going to reopen and things are going to slowly start to rebuild, they should, one, continue with performance center shows, but this time with an audience. Secondly, around late May, throughout June and July, start booking smaller venues, not big ones, but smaller venues, for their Raws and their SmackDowns. And, you know, start doing that. Three, continue the promo momentum that the superstars have right now, but this time in front of the audience at the performance center and the smaller venues that they will book. And then four, speaking of the promo momentum, allow them to continue the storyline promo momentum with whoever they're feuding with, in front of that small audience at the performance center and the small venues, as if there was no one there at all, just like now. But now they have an audience to do with. Let them continue what they're doing now, promo wise, but in front of a smaller crowd. And in that way, as you're building up, the other positive, the fifth one, is as it comes off on television, you have your commentators, whether people like them or not, promoting where the next pay per view event's going to be. And then the people in that vicinity that have also gotten the clear to finally go out and about are going to go and snatch up tickets to that event. And that's going to lead to a massive sellout at whatever pay per view, whatever venue that pay per view is at. So to me, that's what WWE's next move should be. And that's what their next move should be after the country starts to reopen or gets the clearance to start to reopen between early, mid, if not somewhat late May basically next month. So that's just my opinion. But what is yours? Do you agree with that? What I had to say? What do you think? Do you agree that the next move the WWE should make once the country reopens, possibly next month, or more than likely next month, when they start to slowly reopen, do you think they should continue with the performance center shows and then slowly book smaller venues for Raw and SmackDown? And do you think they should allow the promo momentum that the superstars have right now to continue on in front of those smaller crowds, performance center and smaller venues? And if it's connected to a storyline, do you think they should allow it to be continued that way too? And do you think it's going to help really promote and sell out the venue of where a pay per view is going to be for those watching at home in the vicinity of where the pay per view is going to be? Because they're going to see these small crowds getting together. They're going to be like, yeah, we're going to go to that place and watch that. What do you guys think? Let me know down below. I know I sound like I rambled. It is a little past 3:30 now, but I just wanted to get this off my chest. Give me your thoughts on it. Comment down below. And all I can say is stay home, stay safe, be healthy. God bless. But let me know what you guys have to think. And I am out.